guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video that looks very interesting. It's called What Americans Need to Know About Driving in Europe. So I didn't know that it was that different. Apparently it is, and we're gonna be learning what exactly we need to know before venturing into like European roads. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
If you finally decided to take that driving vacation in Europe, there's some things you really need to know to make your trip a little bit less stressful. While it's not that much different from driving in America, there are some key differences to know about, but if you can drive in America, you'll do just fine in Europe.
Great.
Unless you're going to be going to the British Isles, you get to drive on the side of the road that you're used to driving on. They drive on the right side of the road in Europe, just like we do. Take time to learn what all of the signs are.
Very important.
It's really important to understand what the signs are. They are different from the signs we have.
Are they in the Alps?
Signs, the speed limit signs. And some of these signs have meaning beyond just the words on the sign.
Okay,
the way I prepared for my first European trip was to go to the Wikipedia entry on European road signs and just kind of study them a little bit. Look through the countries you're going to go to and just understand them. You're not going to remember all of it, but at least you'll be familiarized with the different signs and the different rules. On the A roads, which is their equivalent of essentially an interstate or a highway, the big signs do not tell you which direction you're traveling in. They basically tell you the big city at the end of the road that you're traveling towards. So you have to understand the cities that you're traveling towards.
Yeah, you have to
know which
learn the
direction
map.
you're going to go whenever you get onto a road. Take some time to get to know what the right-of-way rules are over there, especially for roundabouts. In general, their right-of-way rules aren't much different from ours. The person on the right has the right-of-way unless the sign says otherwise, but there are some differences. I'm not going to get into the details here. There's plenty of really good
seeing all the signs on the side of the road. There's so many.
Online. Google is your friend here. There's even some places that have quizzes that you can take if you're the kind of person that likes quizzes. I know that these things can seem like a lot, it can feel a little bit overwhelming, but trust me, it's not that complicated. It's no more complicated than it is here. You just need to take some time, familiarize yourself with the rules so that you don't find yourself in trouble over there. I put some links in the description for sites that you can access this information for the countries you plan on driving to. And while we're talking about rules, the left lane is for passing only. You do not ride in the left lane unless you are actively passing a vehicle to the right of you. This is a rule, this is the expectation, and this is how they drive. And the speed limit is not always obvious. You need to understand there are certain instances where the speed limit isn't posted by a sign with a number on it. For example, when driving into or out of a town, there is a rectangular sign that tells you you are entering or leaving a city. When you drive past that sign, the speed limit is now 50 kilometers per hour, unless otherwise posted. That is just a rule that everybody understands. You will not necessarily see a sign telling you that the speed limit changed to 50. Also, you have to understand what the default speeds for specific types of roads are. The default speed for many roads is 130 or 120 kilometers an hour or 80 kilometers an hour, and it's not always posted. You just have to know what it is based on the type of road you're on. And then there will be further signs restricting speed on those roads or giving you guidance under certain weather conditions or traffic conditions. A key thing to understand is that it is only on the Autobahn, i.e. the A roads in Germany, where there is not a speed limit. No other countries in Europe have this allowance to drive as fast as you choose. So when you see this sign, it doesn't mean there's no speed limit. What it means is that it ends all of the previously signed restrictions. And it's a new one. You are now at the default speed limit for the road that you're on. And one final rule to be aware of is there's no such thing as a right turn on red in Europe. That is an American invention, and it's a great one, but it doesn't exist over there. And hey, if you're enjoying this video and want to see more of our travel-related videos, please click the subscribe button below. It really helps the channel. Alright, so let's talk about speed cameras. I have never seen anybody get pulled over on the side of the road for speeding in Europe. However, I have gotten multiple speeding tickets in Europe. The way they find speeders in Europe is by speed cameras. These cameras are ubiquitous. Pretty much any town you drive through will have multiple ones down the main thoroughfare, and they will take your picture and you will get a ticket in the mail, often months later, and you won't even remember why. These cameras are on all types of roads regardless of the size. One nice thing is that these tickets aren't particularly expensive. I think one of my tickets was 15 euros,
camera
and the other one was 30 euros.
Curvy.
I was able to pay at least one of them online. Another one I had to send a money order, so that was a little bit inconvenient. And if you are over there in a rental car, your rental company will charge you a $25 processing fee to send that ticket.
Oh my God, $25? Yeah, because of course it's in you.
A speeding ticket over there does not get reported to your American insurance company or go on your American driving record.
They're not going to take your license.
Just be careful, and trust me, there's a good chance you're going to get a ticket, but it makes for a nice souvenir.
No!
Gasoline is expensive in Europe, but the roads are very nice. And unlike in America, diesel fuel costs about the same as regular unleaded gasoline. One thing to be aware of is you have to
I had no idea. Like, I know that diesel and obviously like gas are different things, but I don't know, like you can't just like switch, right? Like there's cars that are like diesel based and there's cars that are like gas based. But actually I hadn't really thought, yeah, because I think everyone uses, well, I know that some vehicles use diesel, but in my mind, the only vehicles that use diesel are like this big like trucks. But I'm obviously totally wrong about this. Maybe it's because it's like cheaper. I thought that diesel was cheaper, but apparently it changes like depending on the country that you are, and also again depending on your car, which probably best figure that out before you go and purchase like gas or diesel.
Understand the words for the type of gasoline that you're going to be using in the car that you rent. If you have a diesel car, you need to know what the local word for diesel is. Otherwise, you may mess that up. Many of the gasoline pumps are self-service and are credit card use only. A lot of them require a chip and PIN card, which is a really difficult thing to find from an American bank. And what that is you insert the chip and you have a PIN attached to it. A lot of American cards are what they call chip and signature, and often you have difficulty using the gas pumps there.
Isn't the chip
so if
like
you
the,
don't
the
have
little
a chip and PIN
thing?
card, you're going to need to make sure that you can find gas stations that are attached to a convenience store with a cashier so that you can go inside to pay.
I'm so confused by that.
And another expense that we need to discuss is toll. There's two different types of tolls you'll encounter in Europe. Some countries like Austria and Switzerland require you to buy a toll sticker, which allows you access to their highways. In Austria, you can buy a tourist sticker that's relatively inexpensive and it's good for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
in Switzerland, however, they only sell annual stickers. So if you want to drive in Switzerland, you're going to need to buy the sticker for the entire year.
Oh my God, they have a lake.
The price of that sticker is around $45. So if you're going to be there for a week, that's really not too bad. But if you're going to be there for the day, that might change your plan. Germany has no tolls, but their gas tends to cost a little bit more. And in France and Italy, they have more what we're used to in America, where they have toll booths on specific roads. The tolls can get rather expensive. To be prepared and understand which lanes take cash and which lanes take credit. Make sure that you have a credit card that's going to work with them. We have had problems in the past where our credit card didn't work. On our most recent trip, however, we had good luck with cards that allowed for tap to pay.
Yeah,
but we always make sure we do have cash on hand in the event that a credit card doesn't work and we have to find a way to pay with cash. In any case, I would recommend that the first couple of times you go through a toll, you find the toll booth that has a cashier. That way, in the event you have a credit card that won't work for you, you can at least pay cash.
Yeah.
Many of the parking lots in Europe are pay lots, and they tend to have self-service parking kiosks that you have to walk up to and pay to get a ticket for a specific amount of time. Again, make sure you have cash to pay for this. If you don't have a credit card that'll work, normally these require a chip and PIN card. So if you don't have one, make sure you have enough cash to pay for your parking.
Very confused about the chip situation.
Another thing to be aware of is that they tend to drive fast on small roads. I like driving fast. I like winding roads. I'm not comfortable driving as fast as they do on these small winding roads.
Oh my God, how much are we talking about?
You don't need to push yourself faster or pull over or anything like that. They'll find a time to pass you, and they'll pass you. Drive the speed you're comfortable to drive, and everything will work out just fine for you.
Of course, yes.
Watch out for cows. Really. Watch out for cows. There's a lot of cows, and sometimes they end up in the middle of the road. Make sure you understand the rules regarding international driving permits. Most countries in Europe allow an American to drive in their country. However, some do require you to have an international driver's permit. You can get these relatively inexpensively. We normally get one at AAA. Many people don't bother to get one. I think the only time anybody's going to ask to see one is if you're in an accident or if you get stopped for some sort of moving violation or something. But it's still best to just get one.
Yes, better be cautious.
And that way it won't be a problem in the event that you need to have it.
Yeah.
And one final thing that you need to know about driving in Europe is that it is the best way to get off the beaten path, away from the normal tourist areas, and go see really interesting and unique sights and attractions. If you want to learn more about driving in Europe, check out this other video about reasons why you should rent a car on your European vacation. Hopefully, I've been able to alleviate some of the stress or anxiety
like gorgeous roads. Where are they?
In Europe. In the end, as long as you pay attention and you're careful, you'll be just fine, and you'll have a lot of fun.
Great piece of advice. Okay, I love this video. He makes for like great points. I love the ending. It was just like, you should definitely do it. I would definitely do it. I know that some people do prefer, because some people find like driving kind of like a stressful situation, especially if you're in an unknown place, in an unknown country. It's gonna be a little bit, yes, it's gonna be a little bit of like, oh my god, I don't know the rules, I don't know how to drive here. But I think I like the freedom of just like going anywhere that you want to. And I know that it's maybe a little bit like, it's a little bit like hassle free, not having to worry about like the car situation of like, oh yeah, the gas, the diesel, I have to be aware of all the like the signs on the road. And I know that it can be a little bit of like, oh my god, it's very like the hassle free option. It's probably going to be like, moving around on subway or on a bus, or, just walking. I understand that completely. And it is a little bit of like, maybe it's like, I don't know what is like more or less like you would feel like less freedom by, because on one hand, you don't have like, you're free to go anywhere. Like I don't have a car like tying me, or I don't have to be worried about this. Like I could just like take the bus or whatever and just go wherever I want to, because I'm going to be, if I'm in a new place, in a new country, of course I want to be like, I want to know a lot of places, and I want to obviously go to new cities. But in a car, it's like, yes, on one hand, you have to be worried about like, hey, what's the parking situation? And, it's going to be a little bit probably more expensive, because I'm going to have to spend more money, whether that's on diesel or on gas. But, it's going to be probably compared, or I don't know, I would have to do like you would actually have to do the math, because I think compared to like in the country that you're visiting, and maybe comparing both like the little like tickets that you get for like they're like monthly tickets, so that you can just like visit. I know that Germany has them. Like you can just get like the weekly ticket, or I don't know, like maybe it's like a day ticket, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense if you're staying there for like a couple of days. But if you're like staying for, I don't know, 2 weeks, like you will have to like definitely run the numbers and see, is it cheaper if I just buy like the little like the public transportation like tickets or whatever, or if I just like spend that money on gas or in diesel or whatever, and of course you have to add on the parking. So you would absolutely, I think you would need to do the math if it's like, obviously you're figuring out like what's cheaper. And on one hand, again, I think it's good, I think, for visiting like in the inner like downtown situation, in, when you're like in very crowded places. I think in that case, absolutely go public transport, absolutely. But if you want to actually like, I think, know a country, I think getting to know like very like new different places and new cities, and I think the only place that you can actually get to do that, I think it's just by car, because the freedom that it gives you, just driving down the road. And I think every place that looks interesting, maybe you want to stop. Like for instance, I don't know what country they were driving in, but like they had like those beautiful, like the lake down the side of the road. There was like this beautiful bridge. Like they had all these beautiful trees. Like I wouldn't want to stop. I would be like, okay, hold on, stop here. I want to take a picture. I just want to like bask in like this beautiful like nature landscape. And if you are, in a bus, of course you can't like tell the driver, oh, please, can you stop a little bit? No, of course you can't. And I think you can also like, it gives you freedom of like changing plans. Maybe you're just like, oh, we're heading down to like this city because it looks interesting. But maybe when you're like down the road, it's like, oh, you know what? I actually want to stop in this little town because it's charming and I want to maybe spend an overnight here. And of course that you can only do that when you're in a car, because it's like, I'm going to stop here and then we'll figure it out like what we're going to do later. So I think I absolutely agree with what he said of like, you should definitely do it, because that's the way I would do it. I love driving trips. But I know that they're not for everyone. For me personally, I love them. I'm with this person. I'm like, yes, you should definitely, if you ever have the chance, yes, do it, because it's the best way of actually getting to know a place. I think it's by car. And the other thing that I'm like a little bit, it was like, okay, I didn't really understand what it was, like the chip situation. I think how I understand it is, I know that, yes, some cards don't really have like they're just like plain. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like plastic. The chip ones are the ones that, if I'm understanding the thing correctly, is they have like a little, like an actual chip. Like when you have like a computer chip or something that is just like this panel, this like golden panel with like a little circuit. That's how I understand like when he means by chipped cards. But I think a lot of like cards, like, well, isn't that like the norm? Or I would think like all cards have it, but I know that not all of them have it, but most cards have it. So, and in Europe, apparently it's the norm that yes, a lot of them have it, but American cards are not like, they're not like that. I think actually, if I come to think about it, it's maybe like the credit cards are the ones that have it, and I think the debit ones are the ones that don't really have the chip. I don't know. It's very confusing. I think it's more like who issues the card. Maybe it's like a Visa versus like MasterCard or American Express. I don't know how it works, but I'm surprised by that because I would think like, wouldn't almost like everyone would have like the little chip card, but no, you know, if I'm talking about it and I'm thinking and I'm like, yes, actually not all cards have it, which I think is important. And apparently in Europe, like most places have it, which I would think, yes, of course. But also like the parking situation was like the parking, like it's like a parking station, like you would choose like, hey, I want to stay here I want to park for 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, whatever. And you like pay it yourself, but apparently it's cash. Like, don't they have like the little machines that you can just like, it's like a self-checkout, but you just like put the thing in and you put the card and then like they'll charge you and you do the whole thing. Again, like a self-checkout. I'm surprised they don't have that apparently in there because it's like, it's Europe. Don't they have like those little like self-parking situations, but just like a ticket and it's a card, they don't take cash, that you just like sort out the whole thing yourself. For the other advice, like pieces of advice that they mentioned, absolutely, I agree. It's like, yes, of course, if you're driving in a new place, it can look a little bit like intimidating, especially like Isa, when you're looking at this whole sign situation. It's like there's like 25 signs that I don't really understand. But I think it's obviously it's gonna look intimidating and it's gonna be newer to you because of course you don't really you're not familiar with this. But it's just things that I think you know or are just like logical things that just by driving you'll be aware of. So it can look a little bit like, oh my God, but it's like, calm down. I think it's easy. Google is your friend. And again, maybe take a little like refresher course, see, you know, what do the signs mean? Of course, it's a good idea to always obviously check. I'm like, hey, I'm going to like this country, so I'm going to be driving in here and here and here. Obviously, a good piece of advice is obviously like check how like what's like the speed limits, the actual like how they drive in this particular place, how they do it. And of course, if they take like the license that you have, like if you need an international license or what kind of license you need. Because again, I get what it means. Like the chances are they're never going to actually like check your license. But you know, it's like instead of like being put in on the spot of like, oh, actually, like you don't take my license, like it's gonna be a pretty awkward situation if they find out like your license doesn't work there. So of course, figure those things out before you go. I think it's always a good idea, and yes, and just enjoy. But I love it, and I want to go. I want to know in what country he was driving because again, the roads look gorgeous. At one point, I think he was like in the Alps, maybe. That obviously I know the Alps like include a lot of countries, so I don't really know what country specifically they were. And I love the one that was with the like the little autumn trees, like there was just like autumn and the autumnal leaves with the orange and the reds. I love that one, and obviously like all the woods. I love all those trees and the lake, of course. So I want to know like A, like where were they driving, and B, like I don't know, just I want to go there. Like let me know, because now I want to drive. I want to take like a driving trip down in Europe in several countries, because again I think it's like a perfect vacation. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.